Hey guys, PYROMEDIC here, just commenting on the recent, or I guess relatively recent game that was occurring between me and Azura. So, right now, we pretty much just kind of start out the same. I immediately took my SCVs to work and got my base starting to produce some SCVs. Kind of just like regular old start. But at some point I decide that I'm going to be a little bit bold. So one of these SCVs is eventually going to go out on a little exploration. Just don't remember which one that was. But start out, once I have the max number of SCVs, immediately send a guy out to build a supply depot, keep that going. One thing I definitely want to notice is that, and this is just a recurring thing throughout the game, is that my income always seems to build kind of excessively, and I realize now that's one of the many things that kind of kicked it for me. But let's see if we can speed things up a little bit. Okay, so got some refineries going, start some early Vespine gas creation, and the start of my barracks. And then think, yep, build another supply depot, keep up with my massive SCV population, and then started already crank out Marines, just like the main driving force. And oh, there you go. There's my little SCV. I kind of just sent him along on a little journey. I kind of just told him to basically go wander the map until he found something. So I'm actually just going to slow this down a little bit to normal speed. Meantime, yep, just building more barracks, just having them basically crank out as much Marines as they can. Generally, that's my early to mid-game strategy. Just get as many Marines and eventually get a tech lab up so I can do some Marauders. And right about this point, my little SCV, who's going on his journey, he comes across Matt's base. At which point he promptly encounters a bunker, and gets messed up. But at least I'm aware that he's there, what he's got. And in the meantime, I am on my third barracks, just, keeping things going around here, building, the supply depots as necessary. I have my engineering bay, and right away I go for my upgrades, because I know that sheer numbers won't do anything. So I always try to at least not only produce as many Marines and Marauders as I can, but I try to upgrade them as well, just to keep them posted. And at this point, pretty just average here. Go look over at Azura's base here, and I notice that where he's pretty much got the same setup. The only thing is he has, in addition to bunkers and a tower, he also has a factory. And that was always really the main difference between Azura and my forces. Whereas I went for sheer numbers and immediately just tried to make them really powerful and upgrade them. He always goes for a more diverse fighting force. And it usually leads to some pretty good fights between the two of us. Let's see if we can speed things up a little bit. So at this point, I'm pretty sure it's just the same kind of jargon. Just cranking out more and more. I believe, yep, already researched concussion shells, and the combat shield is on its way. Try to just gain as many things as I can. And at this point, yep, finally decided to build a factory. I will admit though, I'll be perfectly honest, I rarely use the factory at all. It was only not till later on in the game that I actually started using vehicles. See up here, I'm going for a reactor. That's what I usually try to do, is try to have at least one tech lab so I can do research and create my marauders. And all of my other barracks will have reactors, so I can just mass produce marines as quickly as I can. Let's see. At this point, yep, I have a factory, have the tech lab, because I figure pretty much the only thing I ever use it for is siege tanks. So might as well have, you know, the ability to do siege tech, which I believe, yep, immediately researched. And oh, yep, at this point I'll send another SCV just, you know, see what he got. And I got there to realize, holy cow, he has a much more diverse force. As you can see, he already has a siege tank with siege tech, his 2 bunkers, missile turrets, and a starport going on its way, along with, you know, reapers, marines, marauders, all that. So pretty crazy stuff. But at this point, yep, I have, I believe, my starport, my armory's just been finished, and my siege tank, which now has siege tech already by the time it was there. I'm just gonna go there and do a little siege support any second, I think. Just forgot to get into siege, and I will admit that is a huge weakness of mine. I will constantly forget the secondary actions that are necessary to, you know, keep troops and vehicles alive. But around this point, I decide, okay, well, the most logical thing for him to do is he's gonna try to come, you know, through the front, or if he might send like an expeditionary force, because I'm just used to that from rounds online. So I'm like, okay, just have a nice little force in the front here. Nothing major. Around this point, I have my starport, and I think I'm just going to be building medevacs. Or no, actually, I am doing banshees. Surprisingly. I rarely ever, to be perfectly honest, and I mean, I'm sure my game style isn't indicative of this, I rarely use any complex units. I mainly do marines, marauders, the occasional siege tank, and medevacs for support. That's basically all I do. Whereas if you look, here we go. If you look here, this is Azura's Reapers, and I personally feel this is, again, one of the reasons why this game wound up in his favor, is that he is very diverse in his forces. Whereas, yes, I do have a lot of forces. He has a very diverse force, and that diversity came to his advantage when he was able to land that quick strike right there. Luckily, I had, you know, like 2 marines just kind of chilling there, and they were able to hold off. They only did a little bit of damage, nothing too crazy at that point, but I kind of had like a group, and what I tried to do is tried to split up my forces, tried to have it about, you know, halfway. Think, okay, I'll just sieged one of the Reapers there, had my 2 banshees, and around, yeah, I'd say it's about, you know, I guess you can consider it early game. Try to split up my forces so that I could do something, and then, oh yeah, this was fantastic. I sent my force to this rich mineral field to secure it, and literally ran right past his Reapers. And I mean, granted, you know, my force followed them, but they were still able to do some minor damage, and to me that just irks me, because this will actually become a pattern throughout the game. My troops will, in I will order my troops to move or something, and they will literally walk right past an enemy. Just, you know, la-di-da. Speaking of which, right now he's got basically Marines and Marauders, so general force, but he does have his 2 siege tanks right here guarding the entrance and full bunkers, so that side's pretty much, you know, well guarded. And he's got his 2 medevacs right here, so I'd say right now he's got a pretty, 3 medevacs, so he's got a pretty solid build. Right now I'm doing cloaked banshees, trying to do a frontal assault, and as you can see, that did not go well at all. See, my main goal was, I thought, okay, I can get here, take out the turrets, and after taking out the turrets, they'll be fine, you know? They'll still be cloaked. So, at this point, I have this Banshee, kind of try to cloak him right as he's about to go in, and, yep, he takes that out. I mean, it would've went well, but, you know, Azura being quick, he was quick to rebuild more turrets, so that Banshee did not last long at all. But, at the same point, I was able to establish this command base, which, on a random note, completely, for some reason, just forgot that I could destroy this rubble. I don't know why, just, you know, totally forgot about it. Yeah, at this point, my main base minerals are really, really scarce. I have really good, like, mass of Marines just going out at this point. And, let's see, I think, am I cranking? Yeah, I'm still cranking more Banshees, which, now that I think about it, I'm actually quite laughing at the fact I really should have, you know, started making medevacs, which, as you can see, this is the start of Azura's aerial drops. He's going to be doing quite a few of these in the game, and this kicked me because I honestly did not expect it by any means at all. And yep, here he comes in with his medevacs, drops, you know, a nice good chunk of Marines and Marauders, who proceed to mess up my starport. I don't even know if they destroy it or not. Yep, and then my forces get here, and for some reason, I don't know, maybe I didn't have the attack function set on them, but they just kind of walked over, I guess, to kind of say hi, and then by the time they got there, yeah, medevacs were way over here, totally out of harm's way. Well, I guess he was almost destroyed, so it wasn't totally bad. And then, right here, this, it's funny too because me and Azura were talking about this, and I actually laughed at the thought that had never occurred to me. He basically uses a medevac here to drop off an SCV, and the SCV, under protection of these rock barriers here, and completely unknown to me, starts building another command base, which I guess technically I did, but as you can see, it's starting to get, you know, quite crowded. Have a whole crud ton of Marines and Marauders, and I'm just trying to maneuver them while getting my SCVs, you know, to get off their lazy butts and actually, you know, do something. So, I have this swarm here of Marines and Marauders, and I've got a siege tank just kind of chilling here, and some Banshees. So I've kind of got like a nice forward operating force here. Just, you know, pretty decent. I will admit though, this is my main push here. Set my guys in, figured, you know what, let's try this, let's go do some damage here. And then I send in my Banshees to, you know, F some crud up. They're gonna do their damage, and then my main guys are gonna come walking in here, right into siege tank fire. And yeah. Yeah. I mean, the more I think about it, the more it wasn't too horrible, but at the same time, my Marines just, and my Marauders for that matter, they just were not. Maybe it was just the way the game mechanics were going. Maybe, again, most likely than not, my poor judgment skills. But while I was able to take out both his bunkers and his siege tank, I basically got wiped out. And that was, I want to say, yeah, that was pretty much my main force, like all my guys. I mean, I kind of have like this nice reserve building up automatically, but yeah, it didn't really, in all fairness, cost him that much, and he already has 2 siege tanks back up, replacing the ones that he lost. He still has plenty of Marines and Marauders, and quite frankly, if he had been more daring and had just pushed with it, he probably could have wiped me out right there, and it would have been endgame. So, kind of grateful for that, but at the same time, it made me realize, don't expend all of your forces, expend all of your forces in one go. Alright, well, I'm gonna, let's see here. Because I think at this point, nothing crazy happens. He's just expanding on this base. He's got more SCVs. Because I think, yeah, he pretty much used up everything on his base right here. Got some Banshees chilling. Some Marines. Don't think, yep. Oh, I finally started to do medevacs. About freaking time on my part. So, starting some aircraft. No ground vehicles whatsoever. But I do have, yep, working on the final upgrade for my infantry, so getting to be a little bit better on that note. And again, if you can, like, if you just notice the screen, of course now I like try to indicate it as we match, but there are a couple points where like Azura will be down to the bare minimum and he like won't have many, but you know, he's got a lot of forces going, whereas I will have a lot of resources available, and I'm not doing a darn thing. And it's just been, definitely think it made a difference here. Okay, actually never mind, so I guess I could hear myself talking, and I created 2 siege tanks here, just to provide like kind of like a, hey, an awareness slash defense, I guess. That's kind of what I always liked about siege tanks, is that if nothing else, they provided a kind of like a shout out, like, hey, there's something here. And in the meantime, I also have a good, nice little tiny air force here, 4 medevacs, some Banshees going down here. Still didn't do, oh, that's why, nowhere near enough Vespine. I think, yep, I moved my base over here, and for some reason my SCVs, oh, they're doing the Vespine run, that's why. Okay, and then I decided to move all my troops out here, which, of course, wouldn't you know it, at that point, Azura, actually, if I can move back a little bit to that point. Now, I guess we should look at Azura over here, see what he's doing. So, think, yep, this guy's just dropping off more SCVs, you know, it's kind of a flashback. And then, oh, he's rebuilding his bunkers, which, you know, perfectly understandable. And actually, that makes a lot more sense considering what he's about to do. Now, this is, if you guys remember, his aerial insertion that he was doing before, well, that's now going to come back with a horrible vengeance. And see if I can find it. Speed this up a little bit more. Actually, I can't. Okay. So, we're just gonna have to go with the current speed for the moment. But, yep, at the moment. So, Azura just kinda, if you notice, like, again, I think the main difference between our strategies of gameplay is that while I figured, you know, just sheer number and a lot of power, Azura goes with a more diverse mix, and I give him kudos for that because he manages to just really make his forces effective. And speaking of which, we're gonna slow this down and we're gonna follow these medevacs right here. These guys gave me such grief throughout the entire game because they're gonna be chilling right here, and if you notice, as my force leaves my base, these guys drop in and mess everything up. For some reason I was able to react really quick and get my factory flying out of there. Some Marines were in there. For some reason, I sent my Banshees and my Medevacs. Kind of stupid on my part. Sent swarmed. You know, my Marines just kind of swarmed. I was actually, you know, pretty surprised. Nothing relatively effective, but you know, at the same time, lost 2 of my Banshees. Some of my Medevacs were injured. Nothing too crazy, but at the same time, I also lost a starport. My factory at the moment is incapacitated because I'm stupid and forgot to lower them. And oh yeah, that's another thing that Azura liked to do throughout this game. He loved to target my supply depots. And luckily I had some SCVs kind of here just chilling, and they were able to build up a new set. But yeah, it was not pretty. Definitely did a bit of a number on me. I think, what did I do here? I took my barracks and decided to move them. And, wait a minute. What are these guys? Here are the Banshees. He basically uses the same technique as me. He uses Banshees to go, you know, messed up. But the difference here between my Banshee attack and his Banshee attack is, well, he was smart enough to put at least, you know, 1 missile turret. I didn't have a single sensory, you know, structure available. So, at this point, he is basically wrecking all of my ground forces, and the only reason he stopped was because his cloak ran out, and that is legitimately the only reason why he stopped. And at that point, I put up a sensor tower, much to my dismay, realizing that sensor towers actually do not sense Banshees. They do not detect cloaked enemies. And then, I don't know why I decided to do this. Yep. Yeah, I decided to try and build like a base right next to his, and he responded to that relatively quickly by beating the ever-living snot out of that, and that lasted about a grand total of 5 seconds. Let's see. Meanwhile, yeah, I managed to expend the entire rich mineral field. Let's see. He's got this medevac force kind of chilling here, and I have my swarm, my little frontward swarm. One thing that, and again, I kind of kick, but oh, nope. Now I remember why. At first I was going to kick myself. I was like, why am I leaving this base completely unprotected? But then I remembered my paranoia / obsessiveness kicked in, and I had my SCVs essentially construct a ring of missile turrets. And yeah, my Marines were able to go in, and because of the sensor tower, the missile turret's ability to detect, basically mess up the Banshees, and I was pretty okay. I was like, alright, cool, you know, I'm hot stuff. I can handle this. And then, you know, wouldn't you know it, he finds the one spot where I don't have missile turrets, and he proceeds to decimate my supply depots. Just totally, and I look at it, and the worst part was I couldn't do a darn thing. I literally had these Marines, and they were just sitting there because I couldn't do a damn thing. And I knew that if I tried to build a missile turret, he would just get wrecked. So I basically just kind of like took my Marines, retreated. I was like, you know what, I'm just cutting my losses. And I had these guys retreat to within the range of a missile turret, so they could at least protect what little, or maybe not, maybe I just had them run away. Alright, cool story. Why I didn't lift up this barracks, I have no idea. Kind of a bad decision on my part. And yeah. Okay. Realized that they had no cloaking. Sent my Marines after him going rawr. And yeah. That was just one of the many devastating aerial attacks that he will conduct using his Banshees, because I do not learn. But while he was doing that, I was also simultaneously building a wall, or kind of like a pathway, if you will, of barracks, and at the same time trying to recover by building all of the supply depots and missile turrets as far as the eye can see. Oh, remember that. basically what he tried to do like another, maybe like an aerial insertion, maybe even a scouting mission, and didn't really go. At this point, I will say, oh, yep, see, his Banshees proceed to come here again, mess everything up. They become decloaked, but I don't react in time, and my forces can't do a darn thing. He basically proceeds to mess up my base even more. But while he's doing that, my paranoia starts kicking into massive overdrive, and not over there, right here, I start building missile turrets. And as you can see, yep, missile turret, missile turret, missile turret, missile turret. Needless to say, after the Banshee / medevac incident, I began to hate aircraft with a burning passion and built a, literally, as it will come to develop, I literally started to build a wall of missile turrets, just going around here. And, this is, one strategy that I also think is a very decisive factor as to why Azura won the game, is the fact that he set up bases, multiple bases everywhere, and he had the intelligence of building bases where either A, they were on the far side of the map and protected by natural, barriers here, or B, they're still relatively close. Although I will say, like, this is pretty much the version of mine. It's just, I was, stupid and didn't realize, hey, I can destroy the rocks there. Oh, yep, ha! I will say that was a good moment for me, right there. Not here, though. That kind of, destroyed it right there. I'll say just kind of paused the game. Basically what happened is, he thought he was gonna just come right in, Banshees, cloak, wipe out my force, hit basically this arc right here of missile turrets, drove in that arc to get, I'm thinking, cool, got him, he can't do anything anymore. But what does he do? He just does a loop, comes around through the back, and proceeds to